Germany, one of the best talent factories in Europe, if not the world, when it comes to producing young gems. A club at the heart of developing brilliant talent season after season is FC Schalke. I know they're not a Bayern or Dortmund, but you're not wrong in saying that the Royal Blues have had some star players pass through their ranks. So sir, what if a man on a mission wants the answer to a question that keeps him up at night? What would happen if Schalke never sold their best players? Would they succeed in the Bundesliga and win their first title in over 50 years, overthrow their rivals in Dortmund, or even become European champions? Well, today we're finding out just that. I put a poll up on the community tab asking you guys what team we should do this with next, and the winner was Monaco by a long shot. So that'll be the very next video in this series, but today we haven't been to Germany yet, so I wanted to cover Schalke in this video. I know I say this literally every episode, but I think this might be one of my favorite sides we've built in these experiments. Before we take you through Sir What If side in Germany today, make sure to smash the like button down below, hit subscribe for some more FIFA career mode content coming at you thick and fast. Drop a comment down below as well. I want to know what your favorite ex-Schalke player is in this side, and let's jump straight into it. Alright, so we're going to start off with the squad. We're going to go position by position, and as you can see in the top left corner, we've got 26 players. The squad isn't too deep, the squad isn't too thin, it's probably just at that right amount. We're going to start off with one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He was probably the best goalkeeper in the world a few years ago before David De Gea. Manuel Neuer, the German goalkeeper, World Cup winner, did start off with Schalke before his time out at Bayern Munich, and what a keeper he turned out to be for Bayern and the German national side, and he was developed here at Schalke as well as Ralf Fährmann, a keeper who is the heir to the throne of Manuel Neuer and served Schalke for a while now, but he is off at Norwich in the Premier League. He's going to be playing with the Canaries in the English First Division. I don't know why he's the number 9. We're going to move on to Rafinha, the Brazilian right back. Now, yet again, another player that has moved to Bayern Munich. The now 32-year-old. A few of these players are quite old in this squad, so that might be a problem going to the later few years. However, he still has a part to play in this side, just as well as the Cameroonian centre-back, Liverpool's European hero, Joel Matip. The 26-year-old did start off at Schalke before moving, I believe, on a free transfer to Liverpool. The Reds really did pick up a bargain there. 81 rated, 26 overall. He's going to start alongside Benedict Hövedes. I have no idea how to pronounce that. But the 30-year-old, like Fährmann, was a long-serving member at the club. I believe was club captain as well. He has since then moved on to Juventus. Then he moved on to Lokomotiv Moscow, who he's currently playing at now. But he was one of their marquee players, one of their marquee defenders at the back, as we move on to a player who has recently left them as well. Now, though, another Brazilian in this side, now 35 years of age. He's going to be retiring at the end of the season. So we can only enjoy the bold Brazilian here at Schalke for a season, which is unfortunate considering he's still 82 overall. He plays with Monaco now in the French league, similar to this man Thilo Kehrer. He's not with Monaco, he's with PSG in Ligue 1. Two players in a row that currently play their football in France, but started off here at Schalke. Kehrer, probably the youngest and most promising defender in this side, 21 years of age, very versatile at the back, can literally play any position in the back four, which is very decent to see. Also has got a nice little potential on career mode, just like the Greek centre-back Papadopoulos did probably about 4 or 5 years ago on career mode. Now he was a wonder kid back in the day, hasn't really lived up to it. He did play for Schalke, as well as Christian Fuchs, the Austrian left back, who left Schalke to go and win the Premier League with Leicester City. So it was probably a good idea to leave Schalke for Christian Fuchs, considering the miracle he achieved with Leicester City. But before he became a Premier League champion, he did play for Schalke for a few years, as well as another left back who has moved to the Premier League, hasn't become a Premier League champion though. It is going to be Sead Kolasinac, the 25-year-old Bosnian tank, now plays for the Gunners, the North London club, and he recently defended Mesut Ozil by defending off like these robbers. I don't even know what that video was, but insane stuff from Sead Kolasinac on the pitch and off the pitch. He's an absolute beast with a career mode star back in the day for Schalke, as well as we move on to Sebastian Rudy. The German midfielder has just recently left Schalke, so we've included him in this side, as well as Johannes Geis, a career mode wonder kid back in the day, 24 years of age. He is still going strong, 24 years of age, 74 overall. He'll be a decent squad player, as well as Jefferson Farfan, the Peruvian winger, now 33. He was an absolute beast back in like the FIFA 13, FIFA 14 time. He has moved on from Schalke, now the Peruvian winger. But now we're probably going to get into the most exciting part of the squad, the midfield. And we have, I know I've literally said this for like the past 4 players, but it's another career mode legend. One of my favorite career mode wonder kids from over the years, the German midfielder Julian Draxler. Before moving to Wolfsburg, before moving to PSG, he was a youth product in the Schalke talent factory and was one of their major promising young stars that all of Europe wanted to get their hands on. He is still only 24 years of age, 83 overall, killing it in PSG. As you can tell, a lot of Schalke players have moved on to PSG. And just as you thought it couldn't get any more juicy, we move on to the Croatian World Cup finalist in 2018, Ivan Rakitic, the Croatian 30-year-old midfielder now. Most of you guys know, plays for Barcelona, but before he moved to Sevilla, before he made the big switch to Barcelona, he was sold from Schalke for like £7 million. A big loss for them, as well as Leon Goretzka and Max Meyer were kind of from that generation, like FIFA 13, FIFA 14, German wonder kids from Schalke alongside Draxler as well. So you could have called them the trio of German wonder kids from Schalke, especially center midfielders. And I'll tell you one thing for free, they definitely knew how to produce a good midfielder, as now Leon Goretzka plays for Bayern Munich, winning the Bundesliga, and Max Meyer, he's off at Crystal Palace in the Premier League. As we move on to another Premier League star, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. He did have a stint at Schalke, now plays for Southampton. And it's another Premier League superstar, Mesut Ozil, the gunner. Before moving to London, before he had his big break at Real Madrid, he did start off at Schalke, did make a name for himself at Schalke, a very divisive player in the Premier League, but I'm sure a lot of Arsenal fans love him. And he's going to be the playmaker in this side, the number 10, creating the chances, making things tick, and is usually a player that people forget started off at Schalke. As we move on to Younes Belhanda, the Moroccan, 28 years of age, was a career mode. I know I've said this for the past like 8 players in this squad, but he was a career mode wonder kid back in the day, probably around FIFA 13 time. However, didn't really live up to his potential, moved to some obscure leagues in his career. He is now at Galatasaray in Turkey, but he did have a stint at Schalke probably 1 or 2 seasons ago. Kevin Prince Boateng, the ultimate journeyman in football right now. The Ghanaian midfielder, striker, very versatile attacking player, has had stints at so many clubs in the past 10 years. It's been crazy, but Schalke has been one of them, and he now finds himself at Sassuolo. He did have a little stint at Barcelona this year, but he's now back at Sassuolo, and he might even be moving again this summer. Who knows what's going on? But we're going to be shifting our attention to the Swiss wonder kid, Real Donald Embolo. A lot of people have forgotten about this guy. Schalke have recently sold him. Hasn't really worked out for him here, but he has now moved on to Borussia Mönchengladbach. He is still showing great potential, so there's still a chance for him to get his career back on track. As we move on to another Schalke player, I mentioned before how a lot of them have moved on to PSG. This is another one. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. Schalke sold him to Stoke City. He has now found himself at PSG for some reason, and it's the final striker in this side, the first ever player to feature in these type of videos back to back. He did feature in the former Ajax video, and now because he did play for Schalke for quite some time, he's going to feature in this side. Another player retiring at the end of the season, now 34 years of age, scoring them a bag of goals, but now considering he's a bit older, he's not too great. So we have our last 2 players here, the left wingers in this side, the 22-year-old German Leroy Sané, who might be making his move back to the Bundesliga, however not for Schalke, for Bayern Munich. Of course, the Manchester City star moved to City about 2-3 seasons ago now, a Premier League champion, and yeah, has just killed it for City. However, he might be headed out the club. And then we've just included Marko Pjaka, the Croatian winger, who did have a little stint here in Germany. However, that is the side. It's pretty decent. There's a lot of players that, you know, people forget played for Schalke. A lot of German wonder kids did start off here. A lot of iconic players such as Rakitic, Ozil, Goretzka, and of course Manuel Neuer topping out the whole team. And you'll be glad to hear that I crunched the numbers, I did the math, and this side, based off their valuations in FIFA 19 career mode, have a combined value of 396.5 million. I mean, it's a pretty decent number for Schalke, and potentially they could have got $500 million selling this side. So let me know what you think of that down below. Schalke would have had a beast side in the Bundesliga and would definitely be contending for that #1 position. However, this is how they will be lining up in season 1, using the 3-4-1-2 formation. So we're going to simulate to the end of the season and see how Schalke will have done if they never sold their best players. So we've reached the end of Season 1. So what if with a 63 manager rating, it's not looking good for him. That's how the Schalke boys are looking. And we're sitting in second. We nearly won the Bundesliga in the debut season, tied with Bayern Munich on 61 points, but it's Borussia Dortmund with 66 points winning the league there. We qualify for the Champions League in Season 2. We almost could have had their first title in 50 years right there with the X side. RB Leipzig finishing off the top 4, and it's Hoffenheim, Leverkusen, and Wolfsburg in the top 7. It is league heartbreak there as we move on to the DFB Pokal. It's Hertha Berlin and Frankfurt in the final. Where did we get knocked out? We probably got knocked out ages ago. And we ended up getting knocked out in round 2 to Wolfsburg 1-0. So disappointing cup run there, getting knocked out very early on. Alright, so the Champions League, it's City and Real Madrid in the final. However, we finished top of a pretty easy group in Group D. We finished in first position with 13 points. Porto get out of the group as well with 11. And then we got knocked out in the round of 16 to Juventus, 2-1 on aggregate. So a lot of improvement can be done in Europe as we're so close to that league title. Getting knocked out a bit early in the cup competitions. However, we're going to take a look and see who our star performers were and see who really lifted us this season. It's the German Leroy Sané, another youth academy product, 19 goals and 2 assists in his return to the Royal Blues. Bril Bolo with a brilliant season there, 17 goals, 2 assists. Kevin Prince Boateng at 32 years of age, still killing it here. Still beasting and feasting in Schalke as we move on to Younes Belhanda, the Moroccan, 6 goals and 9 assists. Ivan Rakitic, you'd expect a bit more from the 87 overall man, but 5 goals and 4 assists for him. Jefferson Farfan getting 4 goals and 5 assists as we move down. Mesut Ozil not doing too well, only 22 games, 2 goals and 5 assists. You'd expect a bit of a better return from a player of that kind of caliber. Goretzka and Draxler, they didn't get too much game time either. Manuel Neuer with 15 clean sheets. And then Naldo, who's retiring this season, getting an assist in there as we move down. These kind of players didn't really play. Fuchs didn't play, but that is going to be how the boys did in Season 1. We're going to move on to Season 2. A few players are retiring this season. A few players have grown really well into this side. So we're going to see how Season 2 looks for the ex-Schalke team. And let's see where Sir What If can take the Royal Blues. Alright, it's Season 2. And in the Bundesliga, it looks like we've plummeted from second title contenders to 5th. Barely qualifying for the Europa League. Bayern win the title with Dortmund in second. Leverkusen and Wolfsburg finish above us. And we finish with 55 points alongside RB Leipzig. A disappointing season domestically in the league. But we're going to take a look at the DFB Pokal. It's Dortmund and Stuttgart in the final. And we got eliminated in the semis to Dortmund. We went further than round 2 this year. 1 game away from the big dance, but unfortunately for us, it's another cup elimination. Alright, so the Champions League, we're going to take a look and see how the boys have done in European... No way. They've made the Champions League final. You've got to be kidding me. How did they get there? In a group with Real Madrid, Galatasaray, and Shakhtar, they finished on top with 13 points. I am struggling to believe this right now. In the round of 16, we knocked out Porto 3-2. We then knocked out RB Leipzig 3-2. So we ended up getting lucky draws in those elimination rounds. And then we came up against Juve and beat them 1-1. We literally clutched it. We scraped our way to the Champions League final. And we're up against PSG. We could have got knocked out again against Juve like last season. But we got our revenge and won on away goals. And now I think for the first time ever in one of these videos, we have a Champions League finals. So the Schalke boys going above expectations here. Let's simulate it and see how the boys do in the Champions League final. Alright, so that is the side going in to face PSG. Goretzka's picked up a suspension, so he's going to miss the final. Max Meyer is going to be at the centre mid spot. Draxler is at the cam position. We've shifted Ozil out to the right, and it's actually written in the stars. I didn't think about it. When we're going through the sides, I said that so many players, so many ex-Schalke players have moved on to PSG, so you couldn't get a better Champions League final than this. And Kura, a player who actually plays for PSG nowadays, has scored against his future club. Havertz has picked up an injury though, but we go 1-0 up in the first half. Can we hold on and get one of the biggest Champions League final victories? I don't think Schalke have won the Champions League. I'm going to have to double check on that, but we haven't won it yet. We're still at 1-0. Paredes gets an equalizer though. How did I see that one coming? We're going to go into extra time and maybe even penalties, but Rakitic comes in clutch with the penalty in the 93rd minute, right after we kicked off stoppage time. And that could be it. That could be the winner. The Croatian comes in clutch for us and wins us the Champions League final. And for the first time in What If history, one of the sides have won the Champions League title. And against PSG, it just made it all that bit sweeter. We literally clutched our way through knockout rounds and clutched that final. The Croatian coming in clutch. He should be standing next to the trophy, but it's going to be the German Leroy Sané right next to the most highly coveted trophy in club football. The ribbons are going to be royal blue and white, and what a victory for Schalke's ex-players. So here we're our Champions League winning side, the star performers in the team, the European champions, and yet again it's Bril Donald-Imbolo with 17 goals and 3 assists, our top goal scorer this season, alongside Jefferson Farfan. A decent farewell season for him as he is retiring. Leroy Sané now 90 overall, 11 goals and 2 assists. Ivan Rakitic, the man who scored the winning UCL final goal, getting 10 goals and 2 assists. Mesut Ozil, bit of an improvement from last season, the now 31-year-old, 9 goals and 8 assists. Højbjerg, the Danish midfielder, with 8 goals and 5. Choupo-Moting, Boateng still with a consistent number as we move down. Draxler with 4 and 4. Kura, the man who scored in the Champions League final. Of all people to score, it was the defender. Huverdes has picked up an injury as we move down. Still Goretzka not doing as much as you'd expect him to. 88 overall now, only getting 1 goal and 4 assists. And then it's Manuel Neuer and Rolf Farman getting a share of that goalkeeping position. It's also Rafinha and it's also Fuchs retiring this season. So in Season 3, we'll be stripped of a few of these older type of players, but we're going to really see how the younger players have developed and grown into this squad for the third and final season. It's going to be very hard to live up to season number 2, being European champions, but we're going to see how they do in the third and final season. So it's taken the lads 3 seasons, but they've finally taken out the Bundesliga title there, wrapping up the league with 67 points, a dominating season from the Royal Blues, as they've won their first domestic league title in over 50 years, and it's taken us 3 years, but what a 3 years it's been. Bayern finishing off in 4th, Dortmund all the way down in 7th, and it's Leipzig and Leverkusen in 2nd and 3rd, finishing off in the Champions League spot. So a brilliant way to end off this experiment for the lads. We're going to see what happened in the DFB Pokal. Did we win the cup? And no, it's German Cup failure yet again. We haven't been lucky in this competition, and it's proven here in the 3rd season, as in round 3 we got knocked out 1-0 to Freiburg. So unfortunately for us, not too much luck in the German Cup. However, we have the Champions League. Can that be our saving grace right now? We're going to have a look. It's Liverpool and Barcelona in the final, and it looks like we didn't even make it out of the group stage. In Group G, we got pulled up against Roma, Chelsea and Basel, and by 1 point we didn't qualify for the next round. Europa League was our destination for Season 3. Not a competition we really want to be in, and we didn't even make the final. We're going to have a look and see where we got knocked out in that one. We beat Panathinaikos 6-2, and then we ended up losing 3-1 to Monaco, the next team who we're going to do this experiment with. So, I mean, it's a perfect way to end it off. Make sure to keep your eyes peeled for that video. Now, third and final season here at Schalke, and see who dominated for us, as we did win the league title this season. It's Bril Donald-Imbolo again, the Swiss striker who's been our most consistent player. 26 goals, the golden boot, 100%. Been our top goal scorer for all these seasons, and I'd just say he's probably the best player. Schalke shouldn't have let this guy go, because he's been absolutely killing it here. 17 goals in the Bundesliga. Younes Belhanda with 13 goals and 5 assists. Julian Draxler, 11 goals and 4 in all competitions. As we move on to the Cameroonian, who I didn't expect to get all these goals, but 6 goals and 3 for him. A lot of game time as well, as Leroy Sané, a bit of a disappointing season, didn't play too much, however did end up picking up 6 goals. He might have picked up an injury or 2. However, Højbjerg, Boateng both getting 5. We've got Joel Matip with 3 from centre back, Rakitic with 3 goals, but then Mesut Ozil with 3 goals. However, 14 assists for the German midfielder at 32 years of age. He's still providing those killer balls in the attack, so it's a decent output from him. Goretzka, I'd say probably one of our most disappointing players in this experiment so far. He's got a lot of game time, but hasn't given us a good return. 1 goal and 5 assists for him. Max Meyer, though, with 11 assists. Decent season from him, as we ended off. Neuer with a majority of the game time in between the sticks. 13 clean sheets for him. Obviously, a lot of players retired, so we've gone from about 26 players to 21 in the squad. So it was a bit of a thinner squad this season, so I didn't expect too much. However, the Bundesliga title is a good way to wrap things up there, as we have Kolasinac with a lot of game time. That is how the squad is going to look after 3 seasons, but that is what would happen if Schalke kept all their star players. Schalke fans, look away, because a Champions League trophy, a Bundesliga title, you definitely would have wanted that after seasons and seasons without silverware. However, I digress. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. You guys have been killing it on the channel recently, showing so much support, so I do appreciate it. If you did go ahead and enjoy this one, make sure to give it a like. Comment down below what team we should do next. Monaco is coming out next, so look forward to that. Subscribe down below to the channel. We just hit 20k subscribers going into FIFA 20. Hope you guys are as keen as I am for the new game. Follow me on Twitter, the link is in the description. Turn on notifications so you never miss out on a video when it gets uploaded to the channel. We've got content coming out all the time, so make sure to do that. And yeah, I've been BCHD. Thank you guys so much for watching and making it all the way to the end. I'll catch you guys in the very next video.